They are soon coming back. Manchester United will soon have a full squad. Welcome to the United Hotspot. Here is the injury update of Manchester United as we end this year that has been so tough. What a tough year this has been. But I'm here to tell you that the future looks bright for Manchester United. I tell you that victory, that comeback signature Man United victory over Aston Villa is about to be boosted because, first of all, we have time. We've got only one Premier League game in January. The other is an FA Cup game. I don't think we'll care so much about the FA, to be honest. I want to focus on the Premier League and United being among the top four. And that's why I'm here to give you our injury situation, which players will be back soon, and how shall we look? What will our squad look like when most of our players are back and fully fit? Now, here is the situation. So those are the injuries and the return dates expected for most of our senior players. I should say the important players mostly for Manchester United. Lisandro Martinez is one of those. He's back already training on grass together with Casemiro. Both of them are expected to return on the 14th of January. That will be a major boost to this team because they are both senior players, but also they play in departments that we've struggled with for quite a time, haven't we? And then Mason Mount is back. He's expected earlier. He has got a calf, shin, and heel injury, but he's expected back on the 8th of January. He's also back training on grass. He is expected as well to be in contention for for our next game. So obviously his recovery looks to be amazing and progressing. I'm not sure he's a marquee player. At least he hasn't proved that yet, but obviously he is an important player for Manchester United. Then Harry Maguire with a groin, hip, and pelvic injury is also expected back earlier than Martinez and Casemiro. Of course, we know that ankle, foot, and thigh injuries always take longer. That is why Martinez and Casemiro have been away for a longer time, but their return is a bit further than Mount and Maguire, who only got injured recently. You might wonder, why is Mount and Maguire, why are they returning before Varane, rather before Casemiro and Martinez? So the thing is, it depends on the type of injury you have. It's not the same. So Harry Maguire expected also on the 8th of January. Sofian Amrabat got a muscular injury, not so serious. Is expected probably for our next game on the 30th of December. So is Luke Shaw, who as well got a small muscular problem, is expected on the 30th of December. Then Victor Lindelof, that is our Mr. or should I say, savior. He's a backup. He's a super sub, if I would call him that. Comes in always there, especially in the central defense, to fill in the gaps when we do have a lot of struggles. He has got a groin, a hip, and a pelvic injury, but is expected back on the 8th of January. Amad Diallo as well has got a knee injury. He's back training, but I think because he was off for a long time, his progress is slow. They are still monitoring him, and he's expected to be available for our next game on the 30th of December. But for Diallo, obviously, his return will take a bit longer. But for me, the most important returnees I think we should be focusing on are, of course, the youngsters. Always Diallo is one of those. I want to see Diallo play in Man United. I want to see how good he looks when he returns. But most importantly, the obvious starters are Martinez, Lisandro Martinez, Casemiro, Harry Maguire, and Luke Shaw. Those are four important players we need to be returning. And when they do return, I'll tell you why I think United can actually be an able contender for a top two. Remember at the start of the season, I told you for me, success for Manchester United would be finishing better than we did last season. We finished third last season, the first season with Eric Ten Hag. I'm thinking we can actually, because if you look at the other teams, Manchester City, Arsenal, all of these teams have also got their struggles. They're not looking so good. Newcastle, for those ones, they are already finding their place. Same thing can be said about Tottenham Hotspur. Manchester City has not been convincing for me. I've said it, even if Man City, to many, are still favorites to win this league, I think this would be the weakest Man City side to win the Premier League if they did. Liverpool as well have got their issues. I feel they have got gaps that can be exploited. They are good going forward. They are good attacking wise. I don't think they are as solid. I think they have got some of the same issues that we had that were solved by Kobe Maino. I think defensively they leak goals. They are easy, I think, to score against. I don't think they are as solid as compact. Arsenal is compact, but there is something lacking in Arsenal that, for me, does not make them title contenders. They will still be in the title conversation in the top four. I don't think they will win it. So United has got a good chance to, I think, get a position. I'm not saying United could win it. I don't think maybe it's time for us to think about winning the title. But we finished third last season. I think with these players fit, I think we can finish among the top three, at least at very worst among the top four, because even other teams are going to be getting injuries very soon because it's that time of the year. And for us, we had them early. They are coming. The players are coming back when there are so many games to play. But if all our players are fit, how would I think Eric Ten Hag? And for me, that would be good headache for Ten Hag. The selection headache would be good. And I'm thinking of 14th of January because that's when most of our players will be back. So 14th of January, which squad do we see Eric Ten Hag rocking? For me, this is how I look at it. Andre Onana, of course, in goal. There's no debate about that. But the back line is where I would have a bit of debates, and especially in two positions in the back line. If Martinez is there, he's obviously going to be starting on the left-hand side of the central defense. Obviously, that one is a mainstay. He's our best centre back, probably our best defender. When he's fit, Martinez, there is no question, he's our best defender. So if he's playing on the left-hand side of the centre back, on the right, obviously, his partnership with Rafael Varane is always good. And because Varane is still with us, and I'm saying if they're all fit, because he's still with us, and of course we want to salvage this season. You want your best players playing together. You want your best players in the team, even if you don't have them for the long term. I think Varane will still always be favored ahead of Harry Maguire. But if we are looking at building for the future, and because I think the partnership of Martinez and Varane is our best centre-back partnership, to be honest. I think it's more mature, it's more complete, it's more balanced because, first of all, in terms of legs, Martinez is left-footed, just like Eric Ten Hag wants to play them, and Varane is right-footed. But also in terms of solidity, Martinez is a hard tackler and all. Varane is highly technical. He's not really your best ball passer, but he's good. So I think that's a good balance in the center. But because I'm one of those who think that Varane, we should start thinking beyond Rafael Varane, I would actually pull Harry Maguire from that bench when he's fit because he's returning on the 8th of Jan. I would start Harry Maguire together with Martinez to try and build their partnership because for the longer term, I don't think Varane is in Sir Jim Ratcliffe's long-term plans. I don't think Varane will be staying at Man United beyond the summer. I think he sees out his contract and he's out. Already he's being linked to a move to Bayern Munich, a move to Saudi. There is talk of Real Madrid wanting a centre-back because Alaba is injured. So they could actually go for him maybe on loan or something. So for me, I think we need to plan beyond Varane, and that means Harry Maguire. Maguire is good. He's probably our best centre-back of those who have been fit in the past games besides Martinez. So I think even when they're all fit, I think it's only right for Eric Ten Hag to start the players he's going to be staying with for the longer term. I don't think Harry Maguire, for example, is going to be sold. So why don't you start with Varane, with Maguire and Martinez in centre back, and even if Varane is there, let him be on the bench and come in when he has to because he's not in our long-term plans. So for me, that would be my preferred centre back. Then Luke Shaw on the left, and of course that's a debatable opinion. You can tell me what you think in the comments section. Whether you think if Varane, Martinez, and Maguire are fit, who should be the two starting centre back? For me, I would go for Maguire and Martinez because of thinking for the future, futuristic thinking. Then Luke Shaw on the left, there is no question about that. Then Wan-Bissaka on the right. Of course, there would be a debate about that of whether you pull Diogo Dalot from the bench and you have him start ahead of Wan-Bissaka. My thinking is Bissaka gives us enough, gives us more defensively. So instead of Dalot, whereas Dalot is good and he has put in a good shift for himself, he has proven himself, he has, I think, thrown in the ring to be a starter. I think if Bissaka is playing and is fit and is playing like he was playing, he did play against Aston Villa, fighting for every ball in his box and in the opponent's box. I think Bissaka for me is a better defender. Depending on what you want to do, if you want to play overlapping football, maybe Dalot would come in. But I do think we want to stay solid in the back. So Bissaka would give us more solidity there. Then in the middle, if you've got Casemiro back, obviously he's the one who's going to be partnering Kobe Maino on the double pivot. You don't picture a situation where Casemiro is on the bench, but obviously Maino is our obvious starter. So the middle will have Maino and Casemiro, and then the debate would then be on where you put Christian Eriksen. Does this start with Bruno and play one of them as a wide attacking midfielder, or do you put Eriksen on the bench and have Bruno as a number 10? I think for me, whoever starts as number 10, I wouldn't care. But I don't think you can afford to bench Garnacho given what he showed us playing from the right, and Rashford with the impact he had after being punished for not being effective in the past, in recent games. So for me, I think the reward for a player performing well is keep them playing. So for me, I think we would sacrifice Christian Eriksen, put him on the bench, wait for him to come on the bench and off the bench and change things around, play Bruno as a number 10, and then Rashford on the left, put Alejandro Garnacho on the right, then Hoyland, of course, up top. Or I wouldn't mind having Bruno out and starting Christian Eriksen at times as a number 10. But because I don't think the difference between the two is day and night. I think it's just one being more fresh and younger and more physical. But in terms of what they can give, probably even Eriksen is a little smarter than Bruno, if you ask me. So that I think I cannot dwell so much, regardless of who you put there. But you look at that squad and you picture a situation where that's the starting squad, and you think about now the bench. Do you see that then we have depth in our squad? Because depth is important. When Man City was winning titles for fun, they had depth in their squad. The reason Man City are struggling now, clearly they lack depth in that squad. If all our players are fit, if all those players are fit, and that's going to happen by the 14th of January, by the way. I've forgotten Victor Lindelof. Add him there. He will be back as well on the 8th of January. I think if all those players are fit, Man United will have more depth than all the top 6 teams in the Premier League. If all our players are fit, Manchester United has more depth than all these teams. Look at that bench. You've got Bayern, of course, in goal, but look at all the other departments. You've got Harry Maguire, Christian Eriksen, Diogo Dalot, Mason Mount, Sofian Amrabat, Scott McTominay, and Facundo Peristri. I've intentionally left out Anthony Martial. I don't want to bring him back in our conversations. Add a striker there because there is no striker there, but add a striker there on that bench and maybe pull out maybe one of the young kids, or add Diallo in there as well. I mean, we have depth in this squad, and Erik Ten Hag will be spoiled for choice on who to start. So for me, I think like the future is going to be bright for Manchester United. The next year is going to be amazing. I feel like the fact that we got struggles early in the season, I think, was a blessing in disguise, because these injuries are always going to come given the intensity of games in the Premier League. The injuries will always come. But the fact that our injured players are going to be returning soon, yet our opponents are mostly now beginning to get the struggles we've been enduring all this time. I think it's a good thing for us. We can only try to build and capitalize on that. That for me is my honest opinion. Tell me what you think. Who do you think should be starting? That's my dream 11. With all our players are fit, that for me would be my dream 11. And like I said, replace Varane with Maguire. That's the only change I would make, or maybe Bruno as well with Christian Eriksen. But Eriksen may not be. It's difficult to choose Eriksen over Bruno, really, because Eriksen is good, and I think him and Maino are the game changers, really. Whereas Garnacho scored the goals and all, and of course was always a threat. The reason he was able to be a threat was because Christian Eriksen was opening up guys in the middle, was opening up spaces, was opening up Aston Villa. So Eriksen is our smartest player, I think. But in terms of fitness, in terms of age, in terms of sharpness, he's still lacking. So it's difficult if you are in a situation like this and you're the boss. It's difficult to bench Bruno and start Eriksen. But either way, any of the two for me can ably play number 10. And I think United would be competitive. And who knows how far we can go. We can even be in the title conversation at the end of the season. So it's not all done and dusted. I don't think it's a bad season. I don't think the bad times are still ahead of us. I think the bad times are behind us. We are only getting better by the day. Subscribe to the United Hotspot. My name is Webb. And of course, it's strictly Manchester United.